Hello everyone, today we have a new one. It's Batol 13 as a Master of Harmony Brewmaster monk. This one didn't take me as long as the 12 did, but it was a definitely interesting run. Same route as the 12, nothing really changes. I decided to keep it the same just so that I wouldn't complicate anything. And to kind of help that, I also went back to Ox Stands to help mitigate some damage. I also tried the new Zhao talent, but no, no good. It's not great. And it's the same gear as well. I used two-handed this time for Radiant Authority and Oathsworn, and my transmog looks a lot better this time. Someone said I needed to work on it in the last one. So for this run, I managed to get into a pretty good group, considering that it was 10:57 p.m. at night on a Saturday. Well, maybe there's more people queuing, but I wasn't really expecting to get into it. So for this first pull, like the hardest thing is getting that one Earth Caller into the mobs here with the Destroyer. A lot of people tend to stun it. I don't know why they stun it. Here I used my Transcendence. It was something that I kind of had been thinking about, especially since I used it again here later on in the run. As I said in my previous video, I used it during Eridax when he does the knockback, just so they can help me get away from the knockback. I don't use it as often as I should, just because it has a long cooldown and the Umbral Wind is up before the cooldown, the Transcendence. But as I was saying, it's the hardest part about this isn't tanking the damage as much as it is getting the Earth Caller down the stairs and into the pack with you so that you can round them all up. A lot of people tend to stun them, and then what that does is once they break out of the stun, they immediately go into like the mass tremor, and then we don't have enough interrupts for it, and then that's like a wipe on the first pull, and that sucks. Here I kind of messed up because I'm paying attention to this, and I'm thinking, well, the pull is going pretty good, but I can't target the Overseer, and I taunt the wrong one, and our poor mage gets one shot. So that's part of having a funky camera angle. If I would have had a better view of it, I probably would have taunted it. That, and also, sometimes I have trouble with my player profile. I tend to click on the wrong ad sometimes, so I might look into getting a different one or just kind of fixing this one. Also, sometimes the timers don't show up. Like for example, this one shows me the timer for the Rive, but sometimes the other ones don't show me any cooldowns for any of their abilities. So it's just like a hit or miss thing, and it's a bit annoying. So I kind of need to look for a new player profile for the next season. Kind of excited for it, but not at the same time. They didn't really make any changes to Brewmaster, so essentially one of the three that they did was, so your Celestial Brew can be enhanced by using Purifying Brew. So for example, if I'm at red stagger now, and I purify it, I get three purifying brew charges. So what that means is that every one of those helps increase my celestial brew absorb by a certain percentage, up to 200%, I think it is. And now instead of getting in the PTR, instead of needing 10 to get the most, now you only need 6, which means that if you purify red stagger, that's 3, and then blackout kick, use the blackout combo with celestial brew, and that brings you up to 6. So it's easier to trigger the max absorb, but again, the max absorb does nothing. It's such a low amount. It I think right now mine is closer to 3 million, and that's nothing. That's like one hit. Like a tank buster does probably double or triple of that. So it just does nothing. And it's on such a long cooldown. It's 45 seconds. As a Master of Harmony, it's down to a lot less. But also, it's just like, it feels so underwhelming compared to anything else anybody else has. I recently leveled the Demon Hunter. It's fun. I mean, it's probably gonna be meta next season. I'm not gonna play it as my main role just because I like Brewmasters. But it's just like it. It just feels like Brewmaster is lacking. I hope we can get some type of rework. So a lot of our abilities are just pretty much like you pop it and you just hope that you don't get killed while it's active. I think I heard someone say like, "Oh, does your health drop immediately after your defensive comes off?" In terms of Demon Hunter, but for Brewmaster, it feels like even with your defensives up, you're still getting ganked like a lot. Like you're getting destroyed. Even with dampen harm, sometimes it's just like you're taking way too much damage. But speaking of damage, the DPS is crazy. Look at the meters. Like everybody's above 1.5 million, and normally by 5 minutes, we're still on the dragon ride, or we're still clearing the first pack of 3 earth callers. And with this group, like everything just feels so smooth. So I'm pulling like more confidently. So I'm not too worried about anything. And honestly, to time this boss has to die at least by 9 minutes. At most 9 minutes 30 seconds. Just because everything else, the pulls later on just have mobs with a lot more health, so everything is just so much harder. This first half isn't so hard just because the dragons help clear most of it. But I'm pretty sure that without the dragons, it would probably extend closer to like a 10-minute section before you get to Umbrus, which would be like another 4 minutes. So it would be like a 15-minute segment before you go into like Throngus and stuff like that.
Defensive.
But here everything is pretty good. Like there's not much going on. I am cycling my defensives, making sure that I'm keeping up the 10% Breath of Fire on General Umbrus for 10% less damage taken. I had taken Celestial Flames before, so that it would automatically apply 10% even without the Blackout combo. And if I did proc Celestial Flames and Blackout comboed it, it would go up to 15%. But it kind of felt more of like a weird RNG hassle. It's like you would have to time everything perfectly when you get the Celestial Flame, and you only get pretty much one chance or one shot to get the Blackout combo of Fire Breath on the ads. Or something else you could do is if you get Celestial Flame, you use Blackout Kick, which procs the combo, and then you just use Spinning Jade Kick, and that would spread the Breath of Fire to everyone with the 15% damage reduction, which is pretty good. I imagine with like large packs, but the thing is just like the uptime on it is just not. It's just not good. It's not the same. It's kind of hard to keep up. I tried to do it, but no, I just couldn't keep up with it. It was too much, and the talent itself became kind of a hassle. But anyways, here everybody they're spreading all of these spikes pretty good. There, I tried to heal the shaman. I saw that his health was low before he got hit with the spike, and I tried to res him. I think he still has his self res, but he was just waiting for the AoEs and stuff to go off before he resed. Sorry, I guess he didn't have it. But there, that kill took 2 minutes 41 seconds. My last kill, which was again on the 13, took 3 minutes and 12 seconds. So again, that's already like a whole 30-second difference, which says a lot.
Defensive.
Everything is just like being burnt, and like everything's just getting destroyed here. And again, I'm just tossing out a heal whenever I can, just to make sure that I help out the paladin. The paladin is healing crazy. They're healing so good.
Defensive.
So just the combination of the paladin healing really good and the damage being really good, I knew that I could, you know, start pulling a little bit, more confidently. So, for example, here, Throngis would already be by this pack, and he was still by the stairs. So that I was just like, okay, yeah, the damage here is really good. Like we're really ahead of time. Besides being 2 minutes and 7 seconds ahead, like I felt like I
Defensive.
could probably push it a little bit more, and we would definitely be up um more by the time we got out of the forge area. So here I'm just trying to make sure that these beguilers get killed before I pull the next pack, which is the ones to the left by the stairs, the flame renders and the one earth caller. So I know that the
Defensive.
healer's really good, so he's gonna be able to heal all of this up. There I did. I took a big hit, but it's fine. Was able to top myself up
Defensive.
thanks to the paladin and myself. There again,
Defensive.
taking another big hit, interrupting. I had to execute the Molten Giant just to make sure that he wasn't going to do like another Molten Wake, I think it is. It's the AoE
Defensive.
damage. Normally I would have
Defensive.
pulled this into the stairs just because I wouldn't want Throngis to pull. But the DPS is too good
Bravo.
and these guys are pretty much dead and Throngis is still shooting his little lava things. So I ping him and I'm like, hey, we're gonna just start it just because he's there. We cleared enough. And you're gonna see right now, this guy just starts to drop. It's kind of crazy to be honest with you. And I'm saving my chi burst for that AOE. So once I shoot it, you can see that it says that I healed some of them for a good amount.
Shut down.
Anything kind of helps in these things, especially since it's like everybody's taking a lot of damage at once. And you want to make sure that you can make it easier on the healer. But yeah, he's already on
Defensive.
his second form, and he is down to almost 50%. So that means that the DPS is just like top. They're top. There another chi burst. I healed for 800
Blood.
and so K. So pretty good, pretty good. He's at 40% and he's barely moved. He just started moving and he's at 40%. By 40%, I would have already been down the stairs, like covering half the map with
Shockwave.
other groups. But this group was pretty good. And you kind of didn't need to tell him anything. I felt like I didn't need to tell him anything. Like, hey, you have to stand here and do this. No, like I would ping and they would know what they would have to do.
Defensive.
I'm just trying to spam any defensives I have right there because notice I was gonna take too much
Blood.
damage. I take a lot of damage when he uses his swords. Like it's just inevitable. Even with defensives, like I get red stagger like way too fast. Spamming my touch of death, just want to execute him. And again, there we're 2 minutes and 42 seconds ahead, so we're
Defensive.
we're really far ahead. So it gives us time to
Defensive.
kind of if we mess up, like we'll recover, like that's for sure. But normally, again, you don't want to mess up. Like if you have a
Defensive.
good lead, you want to maintain it. You don't want to just throw it or use it as like a partial reset or something. Like you want to maintain any leads that you have, especially in pugs. Like if you're ahead by 30 seconds, you better make sure that two people don't die. Like you want to make sure that every second counts. Just times when I've been like a minute and 30 seconds ahead, and then all of a sudden four people would die, and I'm like, yeah, there goes that lead.
Bravo. Range 5.
Like everybody's just moving away from each other. Normally here, this type of pool, this lava bender with these warlocks and the beguiler, would wipe people because of
Frontal.
the curse and then the AoE. So it's just like it's a healing
AoE
absorb
incoming.
plus the constant AoE damage that would there. The Arshami died. I think he stood in the circle. He wasn't able to get out.
Defensive. Range 5.
That was probably a little bit stupid and risky to
Frontal.
do because if the lava bender there wouldn't have frontaled, I think we would have died. The mage here, I think he dies. Oh no, he lives. But we probably would have
Defensive.
wiped there. And again, just me being a little bit too over ambitious, just because I know that we
Frontal.
have the healing and the DPS for it. Like there, I shouldn't have done that. I probably should have waited. Give the healer some time to catch up. And everybody's interrupts are up, so
Defensive.
we're pretty okay. We do kind of we kind of both use our interrupts at the same time sometimes, but it's not that bad. So again, I see that everything is pretty low, and I'm thinking, you know what? Let's keep moving. I wanted to pull this one and the next back together, but I felt like that would have been way too much. You know, I'm still like not dumb. I have to think a little bit. These enforcers destroy brewmasters. It's just too much physical damage, too much. And I forgot the talent into the talent that lets me clear the enrages and stuff with paralysis. I wasn't really thinking about it too much. I'm just trying to kite the enforcer so he shrinks. And there I'm pulling everything together. The good thing is that there's a brief moment where they don't cast,
Defensive.
so it makes it easier for you to kind of drag
Frontal.
them. There to avoid that, I just stunned everything, making sure that we
Frontal.
don't have anything kind of in the way of everyone.
Defensive.
And again, just keep chain pulling everything, because everything is dead.
Frontal. Range 5. Frontal. AoE incoming. Range 5. Frontal.
I remember wiping here because somebody backpedaled into that red dragon and pulled the Twilight Destroyer. And then we had to deal with these three ads and the Twilight
Defensive.
Destroyer. And we were already sitting at like
Frontal.
22 minutes. Everybody was panicking because we were definitely not gonna time it. But this you can see, like, I feel like we're doing still pretty good on time. I just know for a fact that we need
Defensive.
like 9 minutes or so of time after
Frontal.
we deal with Draga to make sure that we can time.
Frontal.
What I wanted to do was pull these two into the pack of sleeping mobs up ahead.
Range 5.
But then I started thinking, I'm like, look, don't mess it up. Like, we're doing alright. Just smart, consistent pulls, and the DPS will take care of everything. It's not like the DPS is bad, and they need to round up as much as I can just to make sure that we can compensate for the time we're losing.
AoE incoming.
In our situation, it probably would have been a really good plus, just because the DPS probably would have shredded everything down. But it also probably would have made us take a lot of
Frontal.
damage, like that.
Range 5.
Like you see, the lava bender is still pretty low, but everybody's dying, so I'm just like, ah, yeah, that was stupid. That could have wiped us if I didn't have the leg sweep, and they all would have just casted enveloping shadow like that. That would have just killed everyone, and then that would have been the run. So I think I got pretty lucky in some of these parts. For sure, for sure, I will have to start thinking about that a little bit more. There, I'm kiting away. Again, the enforcer just destroying me. I just randomly ping sometimes, and that's because my ping keybind is on my mouse, and it's I have to press shift plus the
Defensive.
keybind to ping. But I use
Defensive.
shift also with my mouse to use some of my abilities. So kind of it overlaps and then it just
Frontal.
pings randomly. It's a bit annoying, I'm sure. So this was
Frontal.
smart and kind of stupid because I knock them into the corner. So they're about to do
Defensive.
their frontal. You can't see it because of the skulls. And guess what happens? I
Defensive.
see the purple going through the wall and look. Destroys the shaman and the healer. And the shaman and the healer is just like, what is that? Now, I will say, it was kind of dumb for the healer to release because it would have taken us 20 seconds to rest both of them, right? But if you pay attention to the timer, it's already been the 10 seconds. We're at 15 seconds now. 22, 25. And the paladin is not here. So let's say that I res the Shami at like 215. So 225 he would have been res, and then 235 the paladin would have been res. So he would have been here by now. But now it's 10 seconds overtime and he's not there. And now it's 15 seconds. That's another death. So the paladin probably got a little bit impatient and decided to leave. I mean, res. Another 15 seconds. That's another death. So all in all, we spent like about, I want to say about a minute just waiting for the paladin to run back, which was pretty dumb. So again, if you die in these mythics, do not release. Just have them res you. Unless it's the beginning of a pull and it's gonna take them a while, just don't release. Don't release. We wasted a minute that we probably could have used later on. So it's just like just don't. That was a little bit silly of the paladin, but I think he might have done it. I want to say he did it mistakenly. He didn't do it intentionally. I want to say. But yeah, it did cost us about a minute. Dare just execute that. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna play around with this. And then this is all pretty much straightforward. You tank Valiona in the corner. So because I have the Thunderlords, I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't like branch off or something and hit a lava bender. So just trying to take it easy. And this is pretty much it. You just tank him in the corner there. It does get a little bit dicey for me because the Pally is trying to top everyone else off, and for some reason, a lot of the swirls, a lot of the flames, kind of hit me like there, as you can see, or they would pass by me and like I would take a lot of random damage. So that was a bit annoying.
Breath incoming.
Here the shaman and the mage are low. Shaman's a little bit too low, and he gets killed by the Twilight Buffet. So healer always
Weapon
has to make
coming.
sure that everybody's stopped off just so they don't die to these AoEs. And there, I feel like I'm gonna die, so I'm just starting to spam all of my defensives, and I'm like, hello, toss me a heal, dampen harm, and I'm spamming expel harm into vivifies, like trying not to die. But we managed to get it. Like that's it. Let's keep going. We have roughly about 9 minutes left. Not bad. Probably would have had 10 if again the paladin didn't release during the pull
Defensive.
before this boss. But there I grouped them all up, just
Rampage.
stun them, and then I'm just kiting them around. Ring of Peace just to stop the
Rampage.
frontal. And then I just stand in the middle so they all bounce off.
Rampage.
Again, the biggest damage dealer here is the Enforcer, so I'm just trying to keep an eye
Defensive.
on him. I wanted to pull this pack into the Destroyer. I don't know why I get these random ideas like,
Rampage.
hey, like let me just pull this into that, and I think we can do it. I know we have the DPS for it, but
Rampage.
at this point, any small wipe and we're cooked. Like that's it. I drop my statue to aggro all of them, and then exploding cake into me. But when I did that, I didn't position the dragon,
Knocking back.
so there's no space for the knockback. And I think somebody takes it. Yeah, the mage gets hit. He probably could have died there, but luckily he didn't. So there I position him better so that there's more places for people to hide if they need to.
Knocking back.
You know what? I just realized that the paladin was either Brazilian or a Portuguese speaker because Twilight Flame, that's not how it's spelled in English. So it's kind of cool.
Knocking back.
I
Watch your
thought
step.
like, hey, I could just stay there and then just like
Watch your
we'll
step.
destroy it, we'll kill it. But now he didn't die. I'm just dropping the statue to help with threat.
Watch your step.
And here in this, the 13, for these corruptors, corrupt is like the most dangerous thing. It can literally kill anyone, even with the healer healing them. I've seen it happen, and it's just like it's really sad. But what
Watch
can you
your
do
step.
about it? And again, it took us a minute.
Watch your step.
The paladin took about a minute to get back to us. We probably could have used, for example, quote unquote, 30 seconds of that to help here.
Watch your step.
So in these
Watch your step.
low high keys, it kind of matters. Like everything kind of just starts to matter a lot. Especially considering that Grim Batol is one of those that even the one percenters are not timing past a certain level because it's just obnoxiously hard. I can just imagine like if we're having this much
Watch your
trouble,
step.
they must be like they must have lost a lot of sleep over it, trying to figure it out, but then just giving up. And then there's people who are doing like Miss
Watch your
20 and
step.
Arakara 20. I don't think they're gonna do a Grim Batol 20. It just seems like it's so hard. Like for example, here I've seen people die because it's a double corrupt, and it's like back-to-back healing of two people to top them off is just it's hard for
Watch
any
your
healer.
step.
And I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not low so that it doesn't distract the healer from healing the people with the corrupt. There he gets it and he's dead. Yeah,
Watch your
he used
step.
the defensive there, but he used it pretty late. We still have around 5 minutes to do this, so we're not too worried. Well, I'm a little bit worried because I know this fight can take up to 4 minutes, but at the same time, it's just like okay. I mean, it is what it is. All I'm thinking about though right here is like if we get 2 deaths, 3 deaths, this is over. We're not gonna recover from a 40-second deficit. Like that's way too much. And I'm just waiting for the paladin to have enough mana, and then we're just starting. I'm topping people off just to make sure that everybody's okay. Patiently watching his mana bar go up slowly. And then when we start, like, that's it.
Watch your
So up
step.
until this point, we've been in the green in terms of timing for like all the bosses. So 2
Find
minutes and
shelter.
7, 2 minutes 42, and then 1 minute 44. So everything it seems to be running pretty smooth. In this one, we just have to DPS and not die and not get bad circles. Because that's the other thing. If you get a bad circle that leads you like to some obscure place or like to the other side of the map, like it's difficult. Two people got it there. I don't know what happened to the other one. I know the mage or someone like they have this trick that they do to drop anything,
Defensive.
like the the circle thing. There, I had placed my transcendence under him so that I can transcend back. I failed at it miserably. But that's the
Watch your
idea
step.
of when to use the other transcendence. You know, stuff like this that kind of like have no real use other than like
Find shelter.
specific niche things. But it was pretty cool to be able to use it there. I mean, it's the second time or like the second place here where I found that I can use it, and it helps a lot. I could probably use it for kiting as well. That would definitely help out a lot, but you know, I haven't really had the time to test a lot of this. But anyways, here the boss is already at 48%, and we still have 3 minutes left. So this is going pretty smooth. Like this is going pretty smooth.
Defensive.
There again, I transcend back after the knockback. I use dampen harm just to make sure that I'm not taking too much
Watch your
damage,
step.
and the healer can focus on moving along as well, or using his abilities for the
Find
AOE,
shelter.
making sure that the healer is having an easier time. And Eridax is dropping fast, so I'm pretty confident we're gonna time it. Like everything is going pretty well. Like nobody has died to anything silly. But there the healer dies. And we're at 17%. And then guess what happens? AoE, and then we start panicking. I'm panicking
Defensive.
because I don't have a defensive, and I run into a tentacle. If I would have died there, that's it. It's over. But guess what? Expel
Watch
harm
your
with
step.
the chi orbs came in clutch.
Find shelter.
Look at that. Crazy, just insane. I'm sweating. Healer gets low in. He dies again. And at this point, I'm like, let me just execute him. And that's it. Batol 13 done. That puts me at 3050, and I am now the number one tank on my server, Aragos on lane. Probably doesn't mean much to anyone, but it's kind of cool. And these are the damage meters, as you can see. Everybody over 1.5 million. Healing was crazy. This paladin definitely is top 90 in NA. I believe him. This is my healing done. Those Ravenous Scarabs are definitely doing work. I want to try a build where it's like Ravenous Scarab with the Sack Brood and 2 points in high tolerance just to see how many spawn with like 15 or 20% haste. Because it looks like they're spawning pretty frequent. And again, Celestial Brew always doing crazy amount of absorbs. That's why I like Master of Harmony. Kind of helps me mitigate a lot of damage. Keg Smash, number one like always. Blackout Kick, Aspect of Harmony. Chi Burst, though I've used it very little amount of times, it crits a lot, so it does a lot of damage. Overwhelming Force, of course, lining up all of the ads definitely helps out with all that damage. And Thunderlord's Crackling Citron, 4.3% is probably the lowest, probably not the best for this dungeon. It works a lot better in like Dawnbreaker, so something that I might think about switching out instead for something else. But that's pretty much it. So, number one tank in my server for this season. Doesn't mean much, but it's pretty cool again. So, see you in the next one. Hopefully, it'll be a 14. And let's see how far I can get before this season ends. Catch you in the next one.